The rain came down like bullets. Noah's legs burned as he ran through the streets of New York. Water splashed under his feet. His old sneakers had holes in them, and his socks were already soaked. He couldn't stop. Not now. Inside the bag on his back was someone's dinner. Fancy food from a restaurant that cost more money than Noah's family had for a whole month. He was supposed to deliver it 18 minutes ago. 18 minutes late meant he would lose his job. No job meant no money. No money meant the electricity would be turned off. And if the electricity stopped, his mom's breathing machine would stop too. Noah was 12 years old, and he was running out of time. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't need to look at it to know what it said. Last warning. Deliver now or you're fired. His chest felt tight. His hands shook. But he kept running. That's when he saw the boy. A kid was lying on the sidewalk next to a streetlight. He wore a fancy school uniform with a blazer and tie. Rain poured down on his face. His lips were turning blue. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving. Noah stopped running. People walked past the boy like he was invisible. A woman with an umbrella stepped over him. A man in a suit looked down, frowned, and kept walking. Cars splashed water from the street, but nobody stopped. The boy was dying, and nobody cared. Noah's phone buzzed again. He pulled it out with shaking hands. Final warning. You have 8 minutes to deliver or your account will be closed forever. 8 minutes. Noah looked at his phone. He looked at the boy on the ground. He looked up at the sky and thought about his mom at home, sitting in her chair with the oxygen tube in her nose, trusting him to take care of everything. If he stopped now, he would lose his job. If he lost his job, he couldn't pay for the electricity. If the electricity stopped, his mom would. Noah couldn't finish that thought. But the boy on the ground wasn't moving. His chest was barely going up and down. In a few minutes, maybe he wouldn't be breathing at all. Noah made his choice. He shoved the phone back in his pocket, dropped to his knees in the cold water, and lifted the boy onto his back. The kid was heavier than he looked. Noah's legs shook as he stood up. His back hurt. His arms felt like they were on fire. But he started running. "Stay with me," Noah whispered. "Please stay with me." He didn't know the boy's name was Jay. He didn't know that Jay's father was one of the richest men in America. He didn't know that right now, that father was running through the rain, screaming his son's name, trying to find him. All Noah knew was that a boy was dying, and he was the only one who stopped. His phone kept buzzing. Warning, warning, warning. Noah ignored it. He ran 3 blocks through the storm. His legs felt like they would break. The boy's head bounced against his shoulder. Water poured into Noah's eyes, but he didn't stop. Finally, he saw it. The hospital. Big glass doors with a red cross above them. Noah crashed through the entrance. "Help!" His voice cracked. "He's not breathing right. I found him in the street." Nurses ran toward him. Strong hands lifted the boy off Noah's back. Someone rolled a bed over. They laid Jay down and rushed him through a set of doors. A doctor was asking Noah questions. What happened? How long was he out there? Do you know this boy? But Noah couldn't hear the words anymore. Everything sounded far away. His phone buzzed one last time. He looked down at the screen. "Your account has been closed. You missed your delivery. Your last payment will not be sent. You can never work for us again." The words hit Noah like a punch to the stomach. Gone. Everything was gone. The job he worked 60 hours a week for. The money he needed to keep his mom alive. The future he was fighting so hard to protect. All of it. Gone. Noah's legs gave out. He slid down the wall until he was sitting on the cold floor. Water dripped from his clothes. His whole body shook. Around him, doctors and nurses ran back and forth. A man in an expensive suit burst through the doors, soaking wet, screaming, "Jay! Where's my son?" That was Jay's father. A billionaire. A man who could buy anything he wanted. But he couldn't buy back the time Noah just lost. Nobody looked at Noah. Nobody thanked him. Nobody even asked his name. He sat there for 7 minutes, shivering and invisible, watching the rich father pace outside the room where doctors were saving the boy Noah had carried through the storm. Then Noah stood up and walked out into the rain. He left no name, no phone number, no way for anyone to find him. Because Noah had learned something in his 12 years of life. Kids like him didn't get thanked. They got forgotten. What Noah didn't know was that the billionaire had already asked for the security cameras. What he didn't know was that by tomorrow, people would be searching the whole city for him. And what he really didn't know was that when they found him, everything would change. But right now, Noah just walked home in the rain, knowing he had saved a life and lost everything that mattered. Noah walked 47 blocks in the rain. He didn't have money for the bus. He'd spent his last few dollars on bread and eggs that morning, food he'd shared with his mom for breakfast. So he walked. His feet hurt. His clothes stuck to his skin. Every step made a squishy sound because his sneakers were filled with water. But he didn't care about any of that. All he could think about was what he would tell his mom. When he finally reached his building, he stopped at the bottom of the stairs and looked up. The apartment building was old and gray. Paint peeled off the walls. One of the windows on the 3rd floor was covered with cardboard instead of glass. Noah climbed the stairs slowly. The elevator had been broken since summer, so everyone had to use the stairs. By the time he reached the 4th floor, his legs felt like rubber. That's when he saw it. A bright orange paper was taped to his apartment door. Even from far away, Noah knew what it was. He walked closer. His hands shook as he read the words. Eviction notice. You have 72 hours to pay all rent owed or leave this apartment. Total amount due, $3,600. 72 hours. 3 days. 3 days to come up with $3,600, or he and his mom would be living on the street. Noah's chest felt tight. He couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to close in around him. How was he supposed to get that much money in 3 days? He couldn't. There was no way. He pulled the orange paper off the door, folded it carefully, and put it in his pocket. His mom didn't need to see this. She was already worried about so many things. This would break her heart. Noah unlocked the door and stepped inside quietly. The apartment was dark except for a soft blue glow coming from his mom's bedroom. That was her breathing machine, humming quietly in the corner. The machine that kept her alive. The machine that needed electricity to work. Noah peeked into her room. His mom was asleep in her chair, her head tilted to one side. The clear tube in her nose connected to the oxygen machine. Even in sleep, she looked tired. He watched her breathe for a moment. Up and down. Up and down. As long as she was breathing, there was hope. Noah closed her door softly and sat down at the kitchen table. The table was covered with papers. Bills. More bills. Medical bills. Collection notices. Letters from the hospital. Letters from the electric company. Letters threatening to take them to court. Noah was 12 years old, and he was drowning in problems that grown-ups couldn't even handle. He put his head down on the table and let himself cry. Just for 1 minute. Just 60 seconds to feel how unfair everything was. Then he wiped his face and started thinking. What could he sell? He looked around the tiny apartment. They didn't have much. An old couch with a rip in the cushion. A TV that only worked sometimes. His mom's bed. His mattress on the floor. Wait. His bike. Noah's heart sank. His bike was the only way he could get around the city fast. It was how he made money. But right now, he didn't have a job anyway. Maybe he could sell it and use the money for his mom's medicine. Her insulin was running low. She needed a refill by tomorrow or she'd get really sick. Noah made a decision. The next morning, he walked his bike to the pawn shop on the corner. The store smelled like old leather and dust. Glass cases lined the walls, filled with watches, rings, guitars, and other things people had sold when they ran out of options. The man behind the counter barely looked up. "What do you got?" "My bike," Noah said. "It's a good bike. I fixed it myself." The man walked around the counter and looked at the bike. He kicked the tires, squeezed the brakes, made a face. $40. 40. Noah's voice cracked. "It's worth way more than that. $40. Take it or leave it." Noah thought about his mom. He thought about the insulin that cost $63. 40 wasn't enough, but it was something. "Okay," Noah whispered. The man handed him 4 $10 bills. Noah folded them carefully and put them in his pocket. As he walked out of the pawn shop, he felt like he'd just sold a piece of himself. Now he had no job and no bike. No way to make money. No way to fix any of this. Noah walked home slowly, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. When he got back to the apartment, his mom was awake. She sat by the window in her chair, the oxygen tube in her nose, smiling when she saw him. "There's my sweet boy," she said. Her voice was thin and soft. "Come sit with me." Noah sat down next to her. He didn't tell her about the eviction notice. Didn't tell her about selling his bike. Didn't tell her that in 3 days they might be homeless. Instead, he told her about a funny dog he'd seen on the street. He told her about a man playing saxophone in the subway. He told her small, happy stories that cost nothing but made her smile. And when she laughed, Noah memorized the sound, because he didn't know how many more times he'd get to hear it. What Noah didn't know was that 20 blocks away, a billionaire was watching security camera footage of him. What he didn't know was that private investigators were already showing his picture to every shop owner, every doorman, every person who might know a 12-year-old boy with torn shoes and a delivery bag. What he didn't know was that Gregory Wellington had seen Noah check his phone in that hospital. Had seen the exact moment Noah's face crumpled. Had seen a child sacrifice everything to save a stranger. And Gregory Wellington was about to tear the entire city apart to find him. Because sometimes, when you give everything to save someone else, the universe notices. And sometimes, it sends help. The black SUV looked like it didn't belong. It rolled slowly through the housing projects at 9:30 in the morning. Shiny and clean. Tinted windows. The kind of car that only showed up when something bad was about to happen. Noah saw it from his window. His stomach dropped. Police? Detectives? Someone coming to arrest him for something he didn't do? He'd heard stories about kids in his building getting picked up for crimes they didn't commit. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong face. The SUV stopped right in front of his building. Noah's heart pounded. He stepped back from the window. "What's wrong, baby?" His mom looked up from her chair. "Nothing, Mama. Just stay here, okay?" There was a knock at the door. Not a police knock. Not loud and aggressive. Just 3 soft taps. Noah walked to the door slowly. His hand shook as he reached for the handle. He opened it. A man stood in the hallway. Tall. Wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than a year of Noah's rent. His hair was gray at the temples. His eyes were tired but kind. Behind him stood 2 other people. A woman in a business suit holding a tablet. A man in a security uniform. "Noah Carter?" the man in the suit asked. Noah's throat went dry. "Yes, sir." The man's face broke into something between a smile and tears. "My name is Gregory Wellington. I've been looking everywhere for you." Noah didn't recognize the name. Didn't understand why this rich man was standing at his door. I don't know what you're talking about." Gregory pulled out his phone and turned it toward Noah. On the screen was a grainy security camera photo. It was Noah, soaking wet, carrying a boy on his back through the hospital doors. "You saved my son," Gregory said. His voice cracked. 3 days ago, you carried Jay through a rainstorm when nobody else would stop. You saved his life. Noah's mind went blank. The boy he'd carried. That was this man's son? Is he okay? Noah asked quietly. "He's perfect. He's home. He's alive because of you. Gregory took a step closer. I need to know something. What did you lose that day? I saw the security footage. I saw you check your phone. I saw your face. What did saving my son cost you? Noah looked down at his feet. His torn sneakers. The hole near his big toe. My job, Noah whispered. I lost my delivery job. And then I had to sell my bike to try to buy my mom's medicine. But it wasn't enough. Why didn't you stay? Why didn't you tell anyone your name? Noah shrugged. People like you don't notice people like me. I didn't think it mattered. Gregory's eyes filled with tears. It mattered, he said. It mattered more than you'll ever know. Can I come inside, please? I want to meet your mother. Noah stepped aside. Gregory walked into the tiny apartment. His eyes moved over the space. The peeling paint. The pile of medical bills on the table. The oxygen machine humming in the corner. Noah's mom looked up from her chair, confusion and worry crossing her face. Mama, this is Mr. Wellington. His son is the boy I helped a few days ago. His mom's eyes widened. You didn't tell me you helped someone. I didn't want you to worry. Gregory walked over and knelt down beside her chair so he was at her eye level. Mrs. Carter, your son is a hero. He gave up everything to save my boy. And I'm here because I need to make something very clear. He stood up and looked at both of them. You will never worry about money again. Noah's heart stopped. What? Gregory turned to the woman with the tablet. She stepped forward. The eviction notice has been cancelled, she said, reading from her screen. All back rent has been paid. The lease has been purchased in your name. This apartment is yours. Forever. Noah couldn't breathe. All medical bills have been cleared, she continued. Hospital, pharmacy, specialists, everything. All of it is paid. His mom started crying. A trust fund has been established for Noah's education, the woman went on. Full scholarship to any school he wants to attend. College, graduate school, whatever he chooses. Noah felt dizzy. And Mrs. Carter, Gregory said gently, I've arranged for the best doctors in the city to oversee your care. A specialist will visit you next week. Whatever you need. Medicine, equipment, treatment. It's handled. Noah's mom covered her face with her hands and sobbed. Gregory looked at Noah. You gave everything for a stranger, he said. You didn't know who Jay was. You didn't know if anyone would thank you. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped. That's the rarest thing in this world. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure you and your mother never have to struggle again. Noah's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the floor. It didn't feel real. It couldn't be real. But Gregory knelt down beside him. Do you know what Jay told me when he woke up? He said, Dad, he was the only one who stopped. Everyone else walked past my son like he was invisible. But you saw him. You saw him when no one else would. Gregory's voice broke. You gave me my son back. Let me give you your future. Noah looked up at his mom. She was crying and smiling at the same time, holding her hands over her heart. For the first time in years, Noah felt something he'd almost forgotten. Hope. Thank you, Noah whispered. Thank you. Gregory shook his head. No. Thank you. You reminded me that heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they wear torn sneakers and carry the weight of the world on 12-year-old shoulders. 3 months later, Noah stood outside his new school. A good school. The kind with clean hallways and books that weren't falling apart. His mom was getting better. The new medicine was working. She could breathe easier now. Smile more. Worry less. Noah had a new bike. A good one. But he didn't need it for work anymore. He just rode it for fun. And once a week, he visited Jay at his house. They'd become friends. Two boys from different worlds who both knew what it meant to be saved. Jay's father was teaching Noah about business, about investing, about building a future. But the most important lesson Noah had already learned. Sometimes doing the right thing costs everything. But sometimes, the universe pays you back in ways you never imagined. And sometimes, one choice made in the rain can change two lives forever. If this story touched your heart, don't just watch and leave. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. Stories like this only reach people when you share them. Drop a comment telling me which part hit you hardest.